It's pretty simple, really. Our very identity as a country is at stake. Our identity right now is that of an exceptional society. We are the single greatest nation in all of human history. And I don't think there's even a debate. I mean, who would you rather be? Study all the history of mankind and ask yourself, who would you trade places with? In fact, even right now with the problems that we face, what country in the world would you rather be than the United States of America? And where in the world would you rather live? I always tell people that if God came to me and said, all right, you can pick anything you want to be at any time in human history, I would say, I want to be an American in the 20th and 21st century. I was blessed, that's exactly what I am, and that's exactly what we are. But let me tell you, that greatness of ours as a nation didn't happen by accident, and it won't continue automatically. It happened because the people that came before us sacrificed. They worked hard, they made the difficult decisions. Every generation before us that was in charge and in America did what they needed to do to keep this nation exceptional. The challenges were always different, but they were always great. And generation after generation, Americans did what they had to do to keep our nation exceptional. And now it's our turn. That's what we're being asked. That's what the fundamental question of 2010 is all about. Do we want America to continue to be exceptional, the single greatest nation on earth, or do we want her to become just like everybody else? And the reason why I'm running for U.S. Senate, and the reason why it's so important that our candidates win, is that if we stay on the road that we are on right now, the road that this administration and this Congress have put us on, we are going to lose these things that have made us exceptional. And once you lose them, it's very difficult to get them back. What are those things that made us exceptional? Well, clearly our political rights have made us the freest people in history. Our limited government, our constitutionally limited republic have made us the freest people in history. But it is our free enterprise system that has made us the most prosperous people in history. And right now that free enterprise system is quite frankly under assault through the policies emerging from Washington, D.C. This attitude by those up there that jobs are created by presidents and U.S. senators, they're not. Jobs are created by everyday people that start a business or expand an existing one. And government's job is to create an environment where they're encouraged and incentivized to do that. And that is not what we have. If you are a job creator, and I bet you many of you are or have been, right now is a scary time for you. Because the policies that come out of Washington leave you completely uncertain about what the future holds. What is the tax code going to be? What are the regulations going to look like? What is this health care bill going to do to your business? The bottom line is that the people that can create jobs, they're not doing anything. Because they're afraid about the future, afraid of the future, of what's coming down from Washington, and uncertain about what it's going to hold. We need to reverse course and get back to a time and a day where the federal government understands that its role is to create an environment so that the job creators can go out and create jobs. In essence, a very simple goal. Our goal should be to make America the best place in the world to do business. And we should be for anything that helps us be a better place to do business, and we should be against everything that makes it a more difficult place to do business. That's the bottom line. Adding to this uncertainty, by the way, is a debt that continues to grow, half of which we owe now to foreigners and foreign governments. It's a scary proposition. It's unsustainable. The level of spending and the structural problems in our budget will bankrupt our country and bring upon us a Grease-like day of reckoning in the not-so-long distant future. These things have to be treated seriously. If they are, I think my children and your children and grandchildren are going to get the chance to be the most prosperous Americans ever. And that's saying a lot, but I believe that with all my heart. All the things that make America great, they are still there. It's just that government's standing in its way. And if we can get government back to its proper role in our economy and in our lives, then I believe that the next generation of Americans will be the most prosperous Americans ever. If we fail to do the right things, if we stay on the road that we're on right now, if we allow the people in Washington to continue to implement these policies they've been pursuing, then we'll become the first Americans to leave the next Americans worse off. And our children will become the first Americans ever to inherit a diminished country. So those are the two roads before us. We can choose which one we want. I am confident I know which one you want to choose. And therefore I'm confident of the one the majority of Americans and Floridians will choose. For us as Republicans, our job is not just to be the opposition. It's not enough that we're against Barack Obama. It's not enough that we don't like the things Barack Obama is doing. It's important that we do everything we can to stop his agenda, and Nancy Pelosi's agenda, and Harry Reid's agenda, an agenda that's far outside the mainstream of America, and certainly far away from the things that have made us prosperous. But it's not enough. We cannot just be the opposition. We have to be the alternative. And in our greatest days as a movement and as a party, that is what we have been. Think back to the Ronald Reagan era. Ronald Reagan wasn't the opposition to Jimmy Carter. Ronald Reagan was the alternative to Jimmy Carter. And that alternative made us a stronger and more prosperous people because we were about ideas. Think about the contract with America. That wasn't just the opposition to Bill Clinton. That was the alternative to Bill Clinton. And many of those ideas luckily found its way into law and helped usher in another era of prosperity. And now it's our turn as Republicans once again to stake our claim not just as the party of opposition, but as the alternative. An alternative that brings us closer to the things that make us the greatest single society in all of human history. We are the party of ideas. And when we have been about ideas, we have found great success. And when we have been about anything else, we have found great failure. 2010 and beyond gives us the opportunity to once again reclaim the mantle as the movement and the party of ideas. Ideas which will allow us to keep this nation exceptional. Ideas that will allow us to leave our children their rightful inheritance, the single greatest nation in the history of the world. So that's what this election is about. This election is not about fulfilling some lifelong ambition of somebody that wants to serve in the U.S. Senate or be governor or be a congressman. This election is not about the people running. It's about what they're running for and what they'll do on our behalf when they get there. And that your activism is extremely important. I come from the grassroots world. My involvement in politics began in 1992 as a volunteer on a congressional committee. In 1996, I ran a victory office for the Bob Dole campaign. And from it, I learned the value of what it takes to win a campaign at the street level, door by door, phone call by phone call. But I don't know if I've ever fully appreciated it as much as I do it now, running in a state as big as Florida, where every day I count on people who I will never get to meet, but are making calls on my behalf, not because they think I'm the greatest thing on earth, but because in our campaign, they hear what they believe voiced. They hear a voice and they see a campaign that's running on the things they want our country to be about. And I understand that's what this race is about. This race is not about me. This race is about the future of our country and whether our next U.S. Senator will be someone speaking on behalf of the right road that we need to choose. So I am grateful for the help many of you have given me already. I encourage you to continue to get involved and engaged, because this is where we're going to win this election. We're not going to win it with television commercials. We're not going to win it with glossy mailers. We're learning that through these elections right now. When voters ultimately make their decisions, nowadays increasingly so, they make it in a knowledgeable way. Voters are much smarter than the media or the politicians give them credit for. They can tell the difference between what's true and what's not. They can tell the difference between what's authentic and what's been created. And they understand the important crossroads at which our nation stands. And I tell people the choice is very simple in the U.S. Senate race in Florida. If you like the direction of our country, if you think Barack Obama, Nancy Pelosi, and Harry Reid are taking us in the right direction, there are two other people running for U.S. Senate. You should vote for one of them. And feel free to split your vote, by the way. But if you're unhappy with the direction they're taking our country, if you want to see an alternative, a check and balance, I'm the only one running that's going to do that. And that's why I know we're going to succeed up and down the ticket in 2010, thanks to that message and to your hard work. So thank you guys so much. I'm really grateful to you. Thank you.